Circles, circumference versus area. All right, let's talk about what these concepts are. Area is the number of 1 by 1 squares that can fit inside of a two-dimensional shape. It's going to have square units, which actually means little squares. Now, they could be square inches, they could be square feet, square miles, square yards, whatever. However, you will see it's not just going to be written as IN for inches or FT for feet. There will have a little 2 in the corner. That little 2 means squared, inches squared, which is actually square inches. Now, circumference of a circle is the distance around the circle. That's not going to be square inches or square feet. That's going to be regular units of measure, regular inches, regular feet, regular yards, and so on. For area, since it's the number of 1 by 1 squares that fit inside of a shape, that would be really difficult to even try to comprehend how you could count the number of squares inside of a circle. And so in geometry, we have a formula to calculate the area. And it uses this symbol pi, which is a number stored in your calculator, 3.14159, and so on and so on and so on. And notice it uses the radius to the second power. Circumference, however, which is the distance around the circle, that would be really difficult to measure. A ruler wouldn't work. You'd have to have a piece of string wrapped around. So again, we're going to use a formula in geometry. Again, it uses pi, but it's 2 times pi times the radius. All right, let's talk about these formulas. They both use r, which represents radius. Some circles will give you the radius, like what you see here, 16 meters. This line segment goes from the center to the edge, only half of the way across. That is the radius. And so simply that 16 would replace the r. No big deal. However, some other problems are not going to give you the radius. As you can see here, this line segment goes the entire way across. That is not the radius. That's the diameter. The way that you can get radius from the diameter is by cutting that diameter in half, also known as dividing it by 2. 48 divided by 2 would be 24. So 24 feet on this problem is your radius, and therefore 24 replaces the r. One more thing. If you're getting a circle like this, which isn't even a full circle, it's known as a semicircle, here's what you need to realize. That is half as much of a full circle. So you're going to have to take the area formula and add one little extra piece to it. It's going to be 1/2 times the normal area formula of a circle. 1/2 times pi times radius squared. All right, let's look at some actual word problems. This one says at a playground, Sean sits on the seat on a roundabout, which is 9 feet from the center. How many feet will he travel if he goes around for 11 full rotations? You can see we have multiple choice. All of them are in terms of pi, meaning they all have pi multiplied to a number. So they're not giving us the decimal approximation rounded to the nearest tenth. Instead, all these answers are in terms of pi. You can also see here a little picture of what a roundabout could possibly look like. Now, that roundabout is a circle. It's said that Sean is sitting 9 feet from the center. Think about this. The line segment that goes from the center to the edge where Sean sits is the radius. So drawing a quick little sketch and labeling the radius as 9 feet will help us to get started. From here, we got to figure out, do we want the circumference formula or the area formula? Well, it tells us that Sean is going around the circle for 11 full rotations. In fact, the word rotation even means going around the circle. The distance around the circle is the circumference. That's why the area formula is not going to do us any good here. All right, let's substitute the 9 feet, which is the radius, in for the r. So now we got c equals 2 times pi times 9. And remember, our multiple choices were all in terms of pi. So we don't need to actually times by pi in our calculator. What we're going to need to do is multiply everything other than pi. So 2 times 9 would be 18. Bring that pi right down next to it. And we can see that the circumference is 18 pi. But that's not the final answer. Always, when you have word problems, go back and reread the question. Make sure you solved what it asked you to solve. It said, how many feet will he travel if he goes around for 11 full rotations? We only have one full rotation so far. The circumference, the distance around the circle, that's one time around. That's one rotation. To get 11 full rotations, we're going to have to take 18 pi times 11, which would be 198 pi. And that was choice B. Now, what if the word problem was different? What if it said, after many years, the roundabout wore down and was thrown out, which is a very sad story. The ground where it used to be was converted into a flower bed with a thin layer of mulch covering it on top. How many square feet of mulch will they need? And again, our answer choices are in terms of pi. All right, so let's talk about this. Is this still circumference or is this area? We got to figure this out. Well, circumference would be going around the circle. This is talking about how that circle is going to be replaced with a thin layer of mulch covering on that circle. And it said how many square feet of mulch. So think about this. The mulch will fill up the entire circle. And the word square feet could only be a unit of measure for area. So, confirmation, circumference is not the way to go in this problem. The mulch will fill up the circle, that is area. All right, let's substitute our radius with the 9 feet. And again, since our multiple choice answers were all in terms of pi, we don't actually have to use our pi key in our calculator for this problem. Instead, we're just going to take 9 to the second, which is 81, bring the pi down, traditionally on the right of the number, and so our area is 81 pi. Does that solve the problem? The question was how many square feet of mulch do they need? Yes, that's just the area. So nothing special we have to do here. 81 pi is our area, and that would have been choice C.